let's get to what I think is the story of the day. Okay, the vaccine mandate is no more in New York City, right? Now, remember, this is a kind of curious rule, okay? It's kind of a curious rule that only affected people who lived in New York City proper or worked in New York City. If it's basically like a home team issue, just bizarre, absolutely positively bizarre. Reminder: check out the latest lines from World of Sports at BetRivers Sportsbook. BetRivers is the trusted name in online sports betting. You must be 21, present in Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, or Pennsylvania. To play a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Here's the new mayor of New York City saying that the vaccine mandates are going to go away.
We must do it in a smart way, and people are going to look back later and say he made the right decisions. We're going to get the city back up and operating, and we're going to be rolling out some things in the next day or so on how we're going to carry that out. I can't wait to get it done. I'm really proud of how we responded as New Yorkers. I always stated I'm going to follow the science. I'm not going to get ahead of the science because I'm ready to get ahead of all of this, but I look forward in the next few weeks going to a real transformation.
All right, so that's New York City's mayor. So that allows Kyrie Irving to play full-time, and the Nets in the second half of the season have said that Ben Simmons is weeks away. And I understand, look, I'm with you. You're not playing all year. Why aren't you in shape? Why aren't you ready to go? There is a difference between being in playing shape and being in game shape, right? You can't go from 0 to 100, and you want to ramp up. No telling if he's going to play on their G League team or how they're going to get him ready. But what you're going to have here is you're going to have a celebration that Kyrie Irving was right and that everybody else was wrong. Look, I don't think the peculiar rules over if you lived in New York City, you had to be vaccinated. I mean, I understand what it is. We don't want to cut down on tourism. That's one of the lifebloods of New York City and people who travel in and out of New York City. But we want people in New York City to do the right thing, and so we want to have a mandate. And it is also interesting that Adam Silver only came out critical of the mandate after it appeared as though all the numbers were pointing to, the pandemic feeling like it's relatively over for now, right? With some sort of pause. So, I don't want to get in the mandate talk, the vaccine talk, the mask talk, because honestly, like so many of us, I'm just exhausted by it. I've shared with you my personal stance time and again. I still think that Kyrie Irving, if we can sit here and go well, he was right because look what happened. Was he? That team blew up, and a good portion of the reason that team blew up was Kyrie Irving couldn't play in all the games in the first half of the season. So the Nets, for most of the season, said we don't really want you. We can't do the part-time thing. And they only acquiesced to the part-time thing, not when the numbers, but when there was such a ridiculous amount of injuries. The choice was G League players who aren't even in their G League system or Kyrie Irving for half the time, and the choice was easy, Kyrie Irving for half the time. But if you are purely result-oriented and you think that the result in Kyrie Irving getting to play while not being vaccinated is a win, I give you the fact that the Brooklyn Nets, as of now, despite the fact that previous to these moments they had James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving all on their roster. Okay, they had, I believe, an 11-game losing streak before winning a couple games, and then losing the last game before the end of the first half of the season. They're 31-28. They trade away James Harden for Ben Simmons, who also hasn't played so far this year. That is not a win for Kyrie Irving. Destroying the fabric of the team that you play for is and ultimately being allowed to play while not being vaccinated, I don't believe is a win. On the other hand, I do really like this team. That's where I feel like I've always been able to be honest with you is look, I think Kyrie is out there. I think there are things that he does that defy logic or really common, well thought out sense. I think he's one of those guys that was told you're really, really bright, and you start to believe it a little bit too soon, and you get sort of artificially eccentric, and you read books and you want to be seen as different instead of just being different. You want to be seen as smart instead of just being smart. But he's a marvelous talent as a basketball player, and the truth is that the Ben Simmons piece fits better with Kevin Durant, fits better with Kyrie Irving than James Harden did. Just 3 guys playing take-em ball, that ain't it. You have to have guys that fill roles, and not everybody needs to be a shooter. You're still going to need Ben Simmons to take shots and to be more confident. But I actually think he's a better fit, and now it all seems to be coming together for the Nets, as opposed to some of these other teams who played very well in the first half of the season, but there's going to be a top-out in terms of their overall talent, and those pieces actually fitting together better. You know? It's no different than, it's no different why I've never liked the Lakers, why I like the Nets. It doesn't have anything to do with who you like and who you don't like. It's that Russell Westbrook, not a shooter, and he's a high-volume guy. He also doesn't defend all that well. He doesn't play great team basketball, and so he's been really hard to fit in with, and he's used to having the ball in his hands. Well, guess who has the ball in their hands when they play? LeBron James. And guess who he's trying to get the ball to? Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis not healthy. The Lakers are still old. None of them can defend. That's a flawed deal. Not because you like or dislike guys. It's the same thing with the Brooklyn Nets. I don't like the way in which Kyrie has purported himself in Boston and in Brooklyn. I don't like the fact that he tries to question other people's intelligence by trying to make himself look way smarter. I don't love that. And I don't think it's a win for him that he destroyed his team. And luckily, because Ben Simmons' relationship was so bad, they were able to get Ben Simmons traded to them. They're going to be good. They're going to be championship caliber good. But refusing to get the vaccine did not help them on that path. It only hurt them on that path. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.